Hello everyone, my name is Marlicia Pollard and today I will be presenting on intrusion detection. Table of contents. First I'm going to discuss what is intrusion detection, then the background, then the intrusion detection systems and the different types of intrusion detection systems, then I'm going to have a conclusion and a bibliography. Intrusion detection. Intrusions are the activities that violate the security policy of a system. Intrusion detection is the process used to identify intrusions. It is also a type of security management system for computers and networks. A little background info. The concept was born in 1980, and it was called the Computer Security Threat Monitoring and Surveillance by James Anderson. SRI International's Computer Science Lab has been actively involved in intrusion detection research since 1983. In 1984, Dr. Dorothy Denning and SRI developed the first model for intrusion detection. The Intrusion Detection Expert System was what it was called. In 1988, Haystack Project at University of California Lab released intrusion detection system to the U.S. Air Force. So as you can see, intrusion detection systems have been a major factor for a while now. The intrusion detection system. An ID system gathers and analyzes information from various areas within a computer or a network to identify possible security breaches, which can include both intrusions, attacks from outside the organization, and misuse, which are attacks from within the organization. ID uses vulnerability assessment, sometimes referred to as scanning, which is a technology developed to assess the security of a computer system or network. Intrusion detection functions. Monitoring and analyzing both the user and the system activities is for one of them. Analyzing system configurations and vulnerabilities. Assessing system and file integrity. Ability to recognize patterns typical of attacks. Analysis of abnormal activity patterns and tracking user policy violations. IDSs prepare for and deal with attacks by collecting information from a variety of system and network sources, then analyzing the symptoms of security problems. IDSs serve three essential security functions: monitor, detect, and respond to unauthorized activity. IDS can also respond automatically in real time to a security breach event such as logging off a user, disabling a user account, and launching of some scripts. IDS is continued. ID systems are being developed in response to the increasing number of attacks on major sites and networks, including those of the Pentagon, the White House, the NATO, and the U.S. Defense Department. The IDS process. Typically, an ID system follows a two-step process, which is host-based and network-based. The first procedures are host-based and are considered the passive component. These include inspection of the system's configuration files to detect inadvisable settings, inspection of the password files to detect inadvisable passwords, and the inspection of other system areas to detect policy violations. The second procedure are network-based and are considered the active component. Mechanisms are set in place to reenact known methods of attack and to record system responses. The benefits of IDSs. They monitor the operation of firewalls, routers, key management servers, and files critical to other security mechanisms. It allows administrators to tune, organize, and understand operating system audit trails and other logs that aren't usually able to be understood. It provides a user-friendly interface that can be used by individuals that aren't experts. It comes with a very detailed attack signature database in which information from the customer system can be matched, and it can recognize and report changes to data files. Host-based IDSs. They get audit data from host audit trails. They detect attacks against a single host, works in switched network environments. It operates in encrypted environments. It detects and collects the most relevant information in the quickest possible manner. And it tracks behavior changes associated with misuse. It requires the use of the resources of a host server, so disk space, RAM, and CPU time, and does not protect the entire infrastructure. So the pros to host-based IDSs can analyze activities on the host it monitors at a high level of detail. It can often determine which processes and or users are involved in malicious activities. Though they may each focus on a single host, many host-based IDS systems use an agent console model where agents run on and monitor individual hosts but report to a single centralized console so that a single console can configure, manage, and consolidate data from numerous hosts. Host-based IDSs can detect attacks undetectable to the network-based IDS and can gauge attack effects quite accurately. Host-based IDSs can use host-based encryption services to examine encrypted traffic, data, storage, and activity. Host-based IDSs have no difficulties operating on switch-based networks either. The cons to host-based are the data collection occurs on a per-host basis, writing to logs or reporting activity requires network traffic and can decrease network performance. Clever attackers who can promise a host can also attack and disable host-based IDSs. Host-based IDSs can be foiled by DOS attacks. And most significantly, a host-based IDS does consume processing time, storage, memory, and other resources on the host where such systems operate. Network-based IDSs. NIDSs use a passive interface to capture network packets for analyzing. The sensors are placed around the globe, can be configured to report back to a central site, enabling a small team of security experts to support a large enterprise. NIDS systems scale well for network protection because the number of actual workstation servers, or user systems on the network is not critical. The amount of traffic is what matters. Most network-based IDSs are OS independent, and they provide better security against DOS attacks. They cannot scan protocols or content if network traffic is encrypted. Intrusion detection becomes more difficult on modern switch networks. Current network-based monitoring app approaches cannot efficiently handle high-speed networks, and most of network-based systems are based on predefined attack signatures. Signatures that will always be a step behind the latest underground exploits. The pros of a network-based IDS can monitor an entire large network with only a few well-situated nodes or devices and impose little overhead on a network. They also are mostly passive devices that monitor ongoing network activity without adding significant overhead or interfering with network operation. They are easy to secure against attack and may even be undetectable to attackers. They also require little effort to install and use on existing networks. The cons are they may not be able to monitor and analyze all traffic on large, busy networks and may therefore overlook attacks launched during peak traffic periods. Network-based IDSs may not be able to monitor switch-based, which is high-speed networks, effectively either. Typically, a network-based IDS cannot analyze encrypted data, nor do they report whether or not attempted attacks succeed or fail. Thus, network-based IDSs require a certain amount of active, manual involvement from network administrators to gauge the effects of reported attacks. The conclusion. Overall, it is a great idea to have an intrusion detection plan in place to avoid unwanted people on your network trying to steal your information. When you implement a system, it decreases your chances of going through an attack. IDSs are becoming the logical next step for many organizations after deploying firewall technology at the network perimeter. IDSs can offer protection from external users and internal attackers where traffic doesn't go past the firewall at all. However, someone always has to remember that you must have an IDS that you must remember that an IDS uses very good signature analysis mechanisms to detect intrusions or potential misuse. However, organizations must still ensure that they have strong user identification and authentication mechanisms in place. You should also remember that intrusion detection systems are not a solution to all security problems. They perform an excellent job of ensuring that intruder attempts are monitored and reported. And in addition, companies must employ a process of employee education, system testing, and development of adherence to good security policy in order to minimize the risk of intrusions. And IDS is not a substitute for a good security policy, so you should always have a well-defined policy to ensure that intrusions and vulnerabilities and virus outbreaks are handled according to corporate security policy guidelines. And lastly, human intervention is required. The security administrator or network manager must investigate the attack once it is detected and reported, determine how it occurred, correct the problem, and take the necessary action to prevent the occurrence of the same attack in the future. Well, there's my bibliography. Thank you for viewing my presentation. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to contact me through my school email, which is pollardm12@students.ecu.edu. Thank you.